And a warm welcome to all the panelists. I'm sure that each one of you have gone through a whole lot of changes. In fact, I was almost tempted to wear my mask now, and suddenly I realized that you don't need to do it at home. So that's where we all have landed in post 2020. This has been, in many ways, wonderfully different year. I'll call it wonderfully different because I'm sure that each one of you have got your own tales to tell. Um, but one thing is for sure, many a times in history, there are things that are created because it's evolutionary, and sometimes will end up into a revolutionary change. And 2020, at least to my mind, as a retailer and as somebody who's been with Retailers Association of India for a long time, has been revolutionary for all of us. We've got a great set of people available with us in this panel. Each one of them is a specialist in their own fields, and they've redefined their own businesses. And aptly, we are really talking about a session which is on transformation. Uh, Without much ado, I will get on to the panelists. This panel is of various types of people with various types of businesses. And because we've got an audience which is available from within India and from outside of the country, I would like each one of you to give a very small brief on what you do because it really helps. I mean, you've already been introduced, but I think what you do makes a big difference to the way in which this panel is formed. So, could I start with Venkat to start this session?
Yeah, so hi, Kumar. Good to be here. I represent Titan Company, part of the Tata Group. It's one of India's leading personal lifestyle products company. We are into the manufacturing and marketing of watches and wearables, fine jewelry, eye care products, fragrances, ethnic Indian wear, and bags and belts and wallets and stuff like that. We also have a subsidiary company, Carrot Lane, which is also in the jewelry business, and we are a end-to-end value chain company from design all the way to customer experience and everything in between. 32 years old, roughly, 33 years, 3 years old. And yes, glad to be on this panel.
Thank you, Venkat. Could I get Hari to introduce his business?
Yeah, this is Hari Menon. I run a company called Big Basket, we are an online grocer. That's what we are.
That was very short and very clear. Could I ask Vishak to introduce his business, please?
Thanks, Kumar, and good afternoon to everybody. My name is Vishak. I run the Madura Fashion and Lifestyle business. We have a set of brands in the apparel fashion space: Louis Philippe, Van Heusen, Allen Solly, Peter England. These are our power brands. We are also the licensee in India for a host of brands, right from Simon Carter to Ralph Lauren, Ted Baker, Hackett, American Eagle, F21. We also have a luxury retail format called Collective. We've been around for quite some time. As part of the Aditya Birla Group, we also have in the fashion space Pantaloon, which is our retail format. Yeah, and I've been a sort of a homegrown product with the company. I joined as a management trainee here 25 years back. Yeah, that's about us.
Thank you, Vishak. Santosh, could you introduce?
Sure, thank you. Very proud and happy to be associated with Kumar again and all of the esteemed panelists here. This is my 24th year in IBM. Most of my work has been working with clients like you, but predominantly globally, where I've been engaged with the likes of some of the largest retailers based in Bentonville, and then with Macy's, and then I came over running the Albertsons Safeway account, and most recently back in India, trying to enable digital transformation for our global clients as well as the India South Asian market. The focus is all around how do we enhance the business transformation services, leveraging our hybrid cloud and AI is what I'm focused in the distribution and retail sector.
Thank you, Santosh. And could I now get Anand to introduce his business?
Thank you, Kumar sir. I'm Anand from Nearby Technologies. We partner with offline grocers, and we are also privileged to have handshake with Big Basket to facilitate these retailers to do their job better, so that they can do our job as well. What is our job is to bring high end of technology to the bottom of the pyramid, which is assisted digital financial services. Yes, we are the largest agent banking platform in the region with 500,000 retail touchpoints who are doubling up as a banking pradhan, a digital pradhan partner. And in the times of pandemic, of course, we stood by the government to help relay and do our national duty. Processing 5,000 crore each month with 2 million transactions a day is what we do for the mass India. Effectively, rebanking India meaningfully is what we do. Thank you.
Thank you, Anand. Anand, just for our understanding, how many retailers do you work with?
Sir, we have 500,000 retail partners.
Yeah.
Digital pradhans, we call them, 16,722 postal codes. We serve 150 million citizens of them.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think this, like we said, it's been a wonderful year in many ways for many of us, at least in retail. It's been a learning year. And the whole session today is to try and see what kind of transformation have each one of us gone through in our businesses, what are the lessons from there, and therefore, what does the future hold for us. So that is the whole thought process for this particular session. I would start with Hari, because I think Hari did have some business which on the face of it had no problems for this pandemic, but I'm sure he had a different story to say. So the question that I have with me is the same question that I would be asking each one of you, because each one of you have a very different experience to talk about, is that this pandemic has been a problem as well as an opportunity. Would you agree to it? And if yes, what are the things that you would say regarding the problem as well as the opportunity that existed?
Thanks, Kumar. It's the last 1 year I've only been talking about this, actually, and and it's been it's been quite an experience for us. Starting March 22nd, when I go back to that day when the Prime Minister decided to test this whole thing called lockdown out. We didn't know that that's what he's trying to do, and prior to that we were told that we are going to be delivering, and we are one of the few people who are going to be delivering because people need food. And so you got to be operational. So we got all ready and all kinds of things happened. Actually, the whole thing just broke down by 11 o'clock. I don't want to go into too much detail, but fundamentally, I think it was obviously for us a tremendous opportunity, right? The way I look at it, because we were one company which was allowed to operate, and we were part of the whole essentials play, and formally by the government told that you have to operate and you have to run your business, right? And that was obviously a tremendous opportunity. Opportunity being that all other formats were pretty much closed, right? They were not available, and hence obviously a great opportunity, because people were just coming into our site as though they had not seen anything like that before. And the way they were the way we were kind of bombarded was just amazing, right? Where people were just kind of coming in to get their stuff, and naturally so, because obviously nothing was available. They couldn't step out. There was so much fear and worry, and so they would obviously go on to places like ours. Again, a tremendous opportunity. The issue was, but frankly, I have spoken a lot about it, but the issues and problems that we faced were just amazing, and I'll talk about it in your next question, which is, when you'll ask about, what changed, what's the transformation, and what do I see going forward? Because we as a company had tremendous amount of learnings. And frankly, I keep telling the team now, even yesterday in one of our reviews, that listen, we must have documented all of that, pull it out now, because I think we are going to see another wave. We're going to see, this thing hitting us again. And we can't just afford to go through what we went through, because that was really, really painful. And we don't have to, because we've just picked up all the learning. So the issue is that you really need to put that together. So I'll come back to that. So essentially, I think it was just opportunity, huge opportunity. I think we did a lot. to kind of exploit is the wrong word, but did a lot to kind of get the full benefit of it in that sense. And I think eventually we kind of really scaled our business. The month of July was one of our peak months where we broke everything, right? You turned around, you got profitable, you got the maximum number of orders, your average order value just shoots up. I mean, every bit of the metric of the business, was at its best. And in 3 months to get there was something, right? And I think hats off to the team to have stood up basically and really, helped us get there. But for that, we wouldn't have. So I just see it as an opportunity, which looking back, we could have done more. That's always the case. But I think we did quite well. And the way I look at it also is that we were able to serve people and kind of get food to people's homes in all those conditions, and that's what I feel really good about. Yes, our business did well, but I think we could also contribute. We used to call our people food warriors. Kumar knows this. We termed this name, and I found Kumar using it many times, which I was so happy about. And they really stepped up and delivered. So it was all about opportunity. It was all about us doing our best to get it. And I think we did our best, and it paid off.
So thank you, Hari, for coining that term, food warriors. We're still waiting for the time when we'll get recognized as those warriors, and maybe we'll get some kind of a priority in getting our people the vaccination. We are trying to work with the government on that, but I don't think anybody should undermine the thought that it was really like war and people had to go in and do everything possible to get our citizens up and alive and running. And this is one of those countries where we didn't have to really go in and do a run for the supermarket or try and stack up too much. I think it was wonderful in the way in which things are happening. I'll jump directly to Venkat, because Venkat has got multiple hats. I mean, they are brands, they are manufacturers, they are suppliers, they've got franchisees, plus they are retailers. So I'm sure that what he's witnessed is quite amazing. So Venkat, could you tell us what went through?
Yeah, I think one of the very early state of mind that we reached, and I would say right in April early, was that this is a crisis for everyone. A, this is not a crisis for which we are responsible. B, therefore there is no need for us to stress at all, because all of us, the whole world is in this mess. Whereas normally when there is a crisis, typically it is in your industry or in your company, and therefore there is a certain pressure to perform. So fortunately, this crisis was everyone's, it was not our making. So we just threw away any feeling of guilt or stress or whatever it is, and reached a calmness in our mind, which made it very easy thereafter to just solve the problems and move on. That's one. The second was also a feeling of hope. We also felt very strongly, and we transferred it to a lot of people in the company, that this will pass. So let's have hope and confidence about the future. And therefore, from the army point of view, there's no tension at all. So that's one. The second is we put the people, and by people I mean, like you said, the vendor partners, their employees, company employees, the distributors, franchisee employees, in the center of everything that we did. So, from insurance to hospitalization to connections with hospitals should the COVID happen, to perhaps the strictest COVID safety protocols in retail. I can almost challenge that the Titan company protocols are the strictest in retail, which meant that the customers were very, very happy to come to our stores. There was a lot of word of mouth that ended up happening. We ended up doing millions of what we called empathy calls, where we reached out to customers and made them feel happy. It was not a sales call. It was just a call to check on their well-being. So overall, it was an emphasis on people. And then the people returned, in a way, the favor, if I can call it like that, with a tremendous recovery over the next many months, including customers wanting to shop with Titan company brands, vendors working overtime to deliver the supplies, franchisees and store staff working overtime to deliver the sales for the company, and so on. The people just brought it alive for us.
I think it's quite amazing. You've given us quite a lot of food for thought. I think that sense of calmness that you spoke about, I don't think I've heard of that before. So it's quite amazing that you could think about it as calm.
Including Kumar, we are perhaps the only company. I met some people today from a big group. We've been working from office from May 6th.
Yes, that I'm aware.
And I still see a lot of people working from home even today.
Yes.
So that is also another aspect of the calmness.
Yes. Yeah, good one. I think there are quite a bit of lessons to learn, and I'm sure you'll come back to us with some when you talk about the transformation journey. Because I do know that the group was one of those groups that did not fire anybody at all, and they supported employees all through the pandemic. And it's amazing that you did what you did. I would then go on to Vishak. Vishak, what has been your journey? Because the industry that you are in is the one that's been seeing some serious swing. So
yeah, you're right. I think pandemic is a problem. We're all aware. I mean, it caused health problems, it caused disruption, it caused a lot of issues. I think we're all aware of that. It cannot be undermined. Not even in hindsight can it be undermined. It was a serious disruption. Venkat said it well when he said it was not a problem created by any of us. It's like when we were kids in the colony, if there was no power in your house, the first thing you checked was, did the light go in everybody's house or was it only in your house? If it went in everybody's house, you felt a little less bad about it. Okay, knowing that, okay, it's everybody's problem. So yes, I think we know that. What came out of it, Kumar, was some amazing stuff. I'm sure you've heard many of these. Few I want to talk to you about. The most critical was, I think, how we as an industry work together is something unprecedented. And even in a panel that you put together today, where many of us don't necessarily interact with each other, I can tell you, I had reached out to Hari 1 year back. And I had said, look, Hari, you guys are running business. We have a lot of staff who are available. Do you want to use our staff? Okay. And Hari responded immediately. He put me on to another Hari in his organization, the HR head. And we did some work. And it was just like that. And it was no major agreements being signed or nothing. Okay, let's do something which is good for a common purpose. So likewise, we in Madura also did not let go of even one person, Kumar. So we're very proud of that. Whatever we did, we took all the sacrifices together. We're very proud of that. That also, in a way, bound us stronger. The other important thing is the way we were able to work with various partners, business partners, the malls, for example, landlords, who by agreement did not have to change their structures. And there were a lot of things about force majeure versus this versus that. What ultimately worked was the strength of your relationships. And the relationships where everybody understood common purposes, people understood that, yes, this is the right thing to do, and people did it. It again only further cemented relationships. Same on the supply side. So we saw various bills coming forward, supporting endeavors of organizations, saying, understanding, hey, we are with you in this together, and so on. I think finally, I also want to say this, in our business, where it completely wiped us for 2 months, where there was zero business. There was just nothing transacting, okay? So it allowed for a lot of soul searching. For example, I think it has undone a very positive step. It has undone this whole notion of inevitability of the end of season sale. This EOSS has been a major challenge plaguing our industry, where so much of our supply chain gets disrupted because of this artificial hump which has got created between seasons. We have decisively moved to a 12-season calendar where there is no end of season sale as a concept. Most of the people we work with have wholeheartedly welcomed this. And I see this as the beginning of a transformation where we can give consumers fresh merchandise through the year. We don't have to create, this whole spike called end of season sale and so on. It allows for much better work practices at factory level, at supplier level, and you don't have to bunch supplies and so on. So I think there are many positives coming out of this. And finally, like Hari said, I think there is a greater awareness of what will it take should there be challenges like this again. I think we as an organization, we have kept our office open. So sometimes we go to office and work from there. Sometimes we work from home. We see merchandise, we visit stores. But all of this with an awareness, a much greater heightened awareness that, hey, look, let's be careful. Let's have that cautious optimism in everything that we do.
The other thing, Kumar, I must tell you, I'll take half a second. At that time, Vishak called me after that. That was one of the people, because we were struggling at that time. And then Vishak called me and said, listen, we're going to make masks, right? And obviously, it was, to me, it sounded so good that you're going to kind of, and we wanted to sell masks. So we want to kind of.
Yes.
So
and we sold on BigBasket. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. I think the lessons that you already introduced in this is all about relationships, which actually even
collaboration
about it, collaboration, which was very huge, and cross industry collaborations happened, within the industry collaborations happened, collaboration with competitors happened during this. I think we've learned new lessons because of this, and we'll go on to the transformation, because all these lessons has definitely got all of you onto re-looking at your business and thinking about what's to be transformed and how we can really transform the business. We'll come back to that. And I quite like the introduction of the eradication of EOSS. I don't know whether it's going to happen in the same form across the industry, but it's an amazing thought process.
But if you say it will happen.
For the benefit of viewers, and because I don't want to stick into acronyms, it's the end of season sale. I think the industry terms it as EOSS. It is the end of season sale, and the end of season sale has been big for the whole, at least the fashion community and the wider audience. And it's quite interesting that you are looking at doing it differently. I'll come back to you, Vishak, on the transformation part. I will now go on to Santosh. Santosh, you've been with IBM for years, and I have also had the good opportunity of being with IBM for a little bit of time in my life. I'm not a true blue, but still I can understand the ethos. I remember the last year, the two of us were in the US, and at that time, neither of us would remember or would even think that something could happen, right? We were very busy talking about everything, including your daughter singing. So what has happened since then, and within IBM and to the
thank you, Kumar. Thank you. In all fairness, I think as our esteemed panel, right, Hari, Venkat, and Vishak mentioned, when I looked at it from a global view, our theme was always trying to be essential to our clients. So the biggest thing which I looked at, and when we looked at it from an IBM perspective, is how do we go in and support our clients? Because for us also, it was a big change. We were always used to our corporate offices and so on. Fortunately, we were all geared up to be, sort of in a position to respond to the needs of moving, into a digital workforce model, because we had prepared ourselves not because of no one thought about this sort of a pandemic. So we were sort of ahead of the game of remote workforce and so on, but that really tested in our ability to handle the scale of operations. The second thing is really, use this virtual space with our clients to see how we can come up with some creative ideas. Just to take an example, right? Some of the aspects of what we started doing for grocery retail with respect to curbside and parking lot pickup and so on. While the order ahead was always there, can we just look at adding such features in the time when things were like everyone was fuzzy, trying to see how do we be actually responsive and so on. So those are some of those views of how we first really scaled to be essential to our clients and were responsive. Second is come up with leveraging our solutions to use our labs in a environment which was virtual to create this garage sort of models. So that's what we did for our clients, and feel very proud and happy that for some of the key clients, especially who are already on this physical digital model, we were really were in a position to bring in the convergence of commerce for them. So that's something which we work towards.
Thanks, Santosh. Right. I do remember at the initial phase when I joined IBM, one of the things that I asked for was space. And then I was told that, listen, you come into a company where we believe that geography is history.
Yeah.
I remember my boss telling me that when I joined, and this is way back in 2006,
That really helped us, Kumar, because we were prepared with almost all of our workforce having laptop and remote connectivity. Did make a big difference to be responsive.
And I have a lot to thank IBM for that, because I came in from Shoppers Stop. We were not really virtual in any sense of imagination at that time. But when I came into Retailers Association of India, one of the things that I did do in 2009 was to make sure that none of us got attached to our offices. So most of our people have been working from home all these years. And in the midst of the pandemic, therefore, the lessons from IBM came in of huge help, because frankly, as RAI, I didn't have to really worry about our workforce at all. I mean, everybody was in already the workplaces that they were in many ways. So it's quite amazing that such a transformation has happened. I'll go on quickly to Anand. And Anand, again, is one of those friends who I speak to quite often. And the last 1 year has been redefining for you, Anand, from what we first met to where it is today.
Yes, and thanks to you, Kumar, for standing by us on those monthly calls and connecting us to relevant people. I believe this pandemic emerged more as an opportunity because of the collaborations and the help that we sought from people, and we got it rightfully, meaningfully. This pandemic showed a lot of broken pieces in the ecosystem. And the good part about this time, the broken and torn parts, was people were not shy. They were saying, yes, it is broken, come, let's fix it. The government stood along, the bank stood along, and the whole BFSI sector that we work with, on one hand as supply side. So we are a platform where we, with open APIs, could integrate banking financial services. And on the retailer network, our partners network, we could do assisted digital financial services, relaying the government funds into the hands of citizen. So the credibility got augmented. I don't know if it's an opportunist statement, but it got augmented because government was giving money in the bank account. In hands, it was given by the retail partner, where you could actually say 2 kilo aloo, 1 kilo pyaj, or 500 rupees cash dena bhaiya. The retailing will go through that revolution now, where you will be able to see insurance in your grocery list and bagal wale kirana dukan se. So, of course, the digital services have evolved, the retailing the way we see, and thanks to Big Basket, I could buy bhujia only on Big Basket, nowhere else could I get it. And my family, we can't have meals without bhujia. But the second part I have to thank you, Mr. Menon, is for connecting our retailers to now your Horeca team, where we are integrating and helping our retailers procure better with your pricing efficiency, your supply efficiencies. That will relay on to our retail partners. About 40% of our retailers are grocers, other than the non-grocers, which is hardware, etc. But yes, the other exciting thing that we saw amidst this was that we could bring the online to offline, where we tied up with Amazon, and at a fertilizer shop now, we are able to sell a football to the son of a farmer. Revolution in retailing is now being witnessed, and we feel happy that we will be small part of it to see what can happen. More we will see, observe, and share, Kumar. But the power by Amazon, power by Big Basket are good two turbochargers that we see in the current times.
Thank you very much, Anand. In fact, yesterday we had the Chief Secretary of Telangana State addressing us at Retailers Association of India. And one of the key asks that he had from Retailers Association and its members was to try and enable the village level entrepreneurs, which, if you remember, years before there used to be this VLE, and they are creating something like that now, which is called mandals, which they are creating in individual small villages, and they want RA and their members to come together and make them completely capable of delivering whatever it is that they want to the people of that particular community. So it's quite amazing. And maybe even 1.5 years before, if this was brought up, I would have been foxed. But now that I am in touch with many of you like this, it doesn't really deter me at all. And it's something that we believe that we can do. And that's when we can show huge difference to the way people in the mandals can really enjoy themselves and get the benefit of whatever is available from across the place. So thank you very much on that. I'll now go on to Hari to say transformation. What has transformed within the company, and where do you think you are going to go thanks to this transformation? We can't hear you, Hari. You're on silent.
I'm sorry. So Kumar, what happened during the pandemic was that, fundamentally we were constrained for resources, right? Every piece of the business we were constrained for resources, right? I'd mentioned this before on 23rd and 24th, after the 22nd fiasco, where a lot of our people got beaten up, and some of them put behind bars, and all kinds of things happened, in spite of the fact that we were supposed to be the people delivering food. But information hadn't flown. That's fine. A lot of these things got fixed. But 23rd, 24th, we lost 80% of our workforce. 80%, and orders pouring in, right? A situation which was so difficult to manage. So at that point in time, we realized that, see, listen, if we don't kind of put together a team, put together some thinking behind how are we going to manage this with such constrained resources. And so we came up with this with this theme that ran across the company for about 6-7 months, like right through. And Kumar knows about it. I've talked about it quite a few times. Time to, I think, write a book around it. But this whole concept of how do you do more with less, right? And that was a theme, that we basically drove across the company, which means that we were innovating on our feet to make sure that you're constrained from all sides. You're constrained on supplies, you're constrained on people, you're constrained on capacity, you're constrained on infra, multiple things, right, which is hitting you. So how do you manage with that? And I think that was one of the things that resulted in close to, I think, 50 plus different things, from an innovation standpoint, from a product standpoint, that we actually brought out, right? And a lot of those things, helped transform us, not just that helped the pandemic, but actually eventually delivered towards far, far better unit economics today, right? Where you're able to kind of do more with less. It is a concept that we actually drove hard across the company. And that really helped us. At the different issue that, we collaborated, like Vishak said, got some 12,300 people in some 15 days. I think we've never ever hired, people in that kind of speed. But while all that happened, we were still constrained because orders were just pouring in. So there are 50 plus different things we did, right? To make sure that, and all of them will actually help us now going forward. And it's already helping us, going forward. That's one. Second is culturally, from a people perspective, how do you build this in your company? The second important thing that we found the company standing up to is resilience. Is at a point like that, when people would have just given up, right? Because I'm worried, I'm scared to go out, I can't do anything. And so most people are all running away to their respective homes. So you had to build an organization which thrived on sheer resilience. So people just stood up and said, listen, this is our opportunity and we need to deliver. Bringing these two into culture of the organization is something that we focused on doing, Kumar. Over the last 6-8 months, we were trying to see how do you ingrain this and bring this into people. The only way to do that is a shift in culture. Not shift, is an addition that you need to bring to your culture, and then drive that in, because we've got just 4 or 5 elements in our culture, and we drive that hard in the sense that we're very focused on making sure that we believe in them and we drive them in the company. And that's what we did. So each of those 50-60 pieces that we built, we made sure that this is not just a pandemic effect, but this is going to now help us going forward. Whenever, for example, we built a system where you could now queue customers. See, one of the biggest problems you're facing is that people are not getting slots, right? Essentially, because you have more orders and you don't have that much capacity because you don't have people. So because of which slots close early. So you wait 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, and you're still not sure whether you're going to get a slot or not. So we built this system, which was basically a token system, which is a queuing system, which assures people of a slot when you get a token, when you get a queue. Now, something like that, places like Bombay are always impacted by something or the other. It will rain, the whole city just collapses, right? The trains stop, the whole city collapses, right? In situations like that, you end up getting far more orders than what you're built for in terms of capacity, right? So I'm just giving you one small example. You can now use those features, right? Not just in a pandemic, but in many such situations. So our key thing was to really bring this into culture. And now, of course, I'm quite sure we're going to need all of this soon, because we're going to see something. We're going to see a second wave for sure, and so you're going to be able to use all of that going forward.
Thanks, Hari. I hope the second wave doesn't become as bad if it does come in. But one thing is for sure, this more from less is something that we're learning. This queuing customers, almost every type of retailer is trying to see. For the first time, everybody had to think about queuing customers, right? For many, and it's something that people are working with. So when IKEA started its store in Mumbai, it immediately gave out an advertisement telling that you'll have to take a token before you can come into the store. I mean, it is amazing that something like this can happen. And I'm sure some of these things that some of you are learning is going to make us more capable to be able to compete globally. And that's something that you may need to be thinking about, and tell me later on this. I'll quickly go on to Venkat. Venkat, what are the key things that are the transformational aspects that you've taken up, and where are things going therefore?
One is substantial innovation actually happened because people were released from the tension, like I said, of having to cope with this huge challenge. And one simple and very, very powerful innovation was we were staring at a huge loss in Q1, which of course ended up happening. And how do we manage the cash situation? We were racking our brains. And suddenly, the solution was staring us in the face. We just realized, my God, we have some 6,000 crores of gold, which is our inventory. I mean, that's as good as cash. So we simply decided to melt gold. We sold gold, got hundreds of crores of cash, and we just managed, because those thousands of crores were anyway not required for a time like that, where customers were hardly coming or whatever, right? So it was staring us, but it had never occurred to us. There was no need for it in the past. But this situation now, even in future, when the pandemic is gone and all that, and hopefully it has gone in a large way at least, that idea and that approach of just downstocking, selling from the bottom of our non-selling kind of models at a small cost of melting, and actually, but it's a very big idea from its impact, because we're talking about hundreds of crores with one idea, right? The second thing is that the whole responsibility for the balance sheet and cash got really institutionalized at, I would say, CXO -2 level. So the ownership of cash, as opposed to just cost or profit, that cash is king, that whole thinking not only got really drilled into, I'm saying, the top team, but it has gone so deep, and therefore it has become a totally sustainable. Now everyone talks cash. Everyone talks number of days of debtors, how much of financing we're getting from creditors, and therefore cash and not just profits. So I would just use these two as far-reaching in their impact, because both are very, very large in terms of their impact. And because we've had many months of having to deal with this, they've also become embedded and second nature, and they just won't go away even when normalcy returns completely.
Very, very, very intriguing, because I think you brought out this whole calmness. We really can't do much, so we might as well use this for innovation. Is a word that's going to resonate in my brain quite a bit, because in the middle of the pandemic, there were some companies which were obviously getting really frustrated, and there were some who did not really show so much of frustration. I mean, everybody went through pain, and I don't remember you ever calling up and telling that, listen, we are all going to land into this trouble, solve this issue, solve that issue. I mean, I think you guys were in a very different frame of mind altogether, and now I know why. Because you'd all taken that this is going to be the way life is going to be for some time, and you're looking at new ways of dealing with it. I love this whole thing around cash. The cash is king has always been something that's been like a mantra for retail, but not everybody really understands this mantra in its fullness. This period put that mantra back into everybody's head. And it's not just about debtors, it's not about balance sheet, it's about cash, real cash in our hands. And thank you for getting that thought process. Vishak, where is your transformation going? You're on mute, Vishak.
Yeah, sorry. Very, very, in some ways similar to some of the things that Venkat and Hari have shared. The first, and I will give you one case study for this, is very early into the pandemic, we realized that this country needs masks. And very few people knew what a good mask should look like, what should be the components of that good mask, and so on. We have a China office, and we, also hence were privy to what that country had gone through a few months earlier. We were able to see the kind of products which were there. We had no infrastructure, manufacturing infrastructure, to be able to create all of this. This was put up in double quick time, all of this during lockdown. To cut a long story short, within 10 days, we had our first mask production out. Wow. And these were then tested, validated by Citra, which is a verifying agency, validating agency. We got third-party auditors, quality auditors, to assess every part of our line to make sure that we were producing good stuff. All of this during lockdown with special passes for people to move and so on. We were then getting real-time ratings, whether it was from Myntra or from our own websites and so on, from customer feedback. We realized the kind of stuff that consumers go through. The strap is too tight. Okay, the strap. There are people who want to wear the strap around the ears. There are a set of people who want it behind their head. What kind of profile of people? What kind of face and head profile? What kind of masks are required? People with glasses who said, my glasses start fogging when I wear the mask. Okay, so many product innovations which came through when we were able to. And this suddenly created confidence of a very different magnitude. Okay, a set of people who said, look, this is a product we have never ever created. And just to tell you, we have crossed 1 crore units of mask sales already. Wow. So it's a really good product. Okay, and it can also be in addition to the safety aspects, it's also a good fashion accessory in the way you dress with clothes, and we have done that also. That led us to many more product innovations, whether it was antiviral treatments on fabrics and so on, which protect customers, travel gear, which allowed them to travel safely, a whole lot of products which came out of that mindset. Even repurposing, like Venkat said, he struck gold with gold. In a way, we found similar solutions for cash release in fabric inventory, which we were able to repurpose. A lot of fabric inventory was repurposed into very, very different kinds of garments, including work from home, sleepwear, and various such things that fabrics were repurposed into. I think, so there is clearly an innovation mindset which was scaled up many, many times as we went through this. Adopting digital, again, went to many, many levels beyond this. And we always took pride in us being a strong digital organization, but this took us to one more quantum level within that. Relationships, and a completely new way to look at relationships. Of course, within your own organization, with employees and so on, how to conduct ourselves when we are largely meeting only digitally, to business partners, and very, very different things that we were able to do with business partners. I think it just told us that, especially from what Venkat said earlier, when we are all in the same boat, I guess our ability to help each other is also probably of a higher order. And there was no I win more, you win less. It was, okay, let's solve each other's problems. And there again, I think there was a lot of transformational stuff which happened. I think all of this has also resulted in us strengthening our versatility. As an organization, as a team, can we be more versatile? Clearly, answer is yes, and we've been able to demonstrate that. But it's just somewhere created that greater confidence in being more versatile.
Thanks, Vishak. I'm sure this is quite telling for people who are listening to this, because you've spoken about product innovation, you talked about transformation in the way you do manufacturing, you've spoken about the transformation in the way you treat people, you've also talked about transformation in the relationships. I do have to tell you one of those things that happened to us also as RAI when this happened, because Ashish Dikshit is not very easily available normally. He's always tied up. But in the midst of the pandemic, when everything was in all kinds of doldrums, I think Ashish was available with RAI almost every second day to sit with us and to work through the whole problem that was happening for the whole industry. I do have to thank Ashish for the amount of time, and I'm sure all of you supported in making that happen. But that helped in steering the entire industry in many ways, and that's what it talks about. It's about contribution and relationships really came of help, and thank you for that. Santosh, you did talk a few things about transformation that's happened. Where do you see things going now?
I think in line with most of the leaders who spoke here, right? Resilience was very clearly the theme which went in. And more than anything, what we saw is the ability for our clients to be responsive in terms of coming up with innovative ideas. So what we really looked at is how do we provide them the ecosystem to make sure that if they want to experiment something, they have a place to play around and see if they can take it to market, is something which we really helped in setting that ecosystem partnerships. And in line with what Vishak was saying, right, the fact that it was considered a global problem, so even our partners were open to not really go into formal, okay, let's go try to solve the problem and see if it works and then plan the next step. So that was something which we really saw. What we are continuing to see is, I think it's almost embrace the aspect, while there were aspects of e-commerce, delivery, and almost, people who were really being considered as the front runners, as the ones where they really changed the game. I think that is almost becoming the new normal in every way of accepting that this is going to stay. And how do we now make sure that our systems are really going to support the volume and scale and bring in the aspects for continuous, customer experience related aspects on these systems to make sure that we continue to help. So that's the way we are seeing that this is not going to change in the future, whether it's travel related retail or whether it's true physical retail. I think the convergence is what we are seeing and how we are working towards all of our solutions. No longer just physical. It's always looking at it from both angles.
Thanks, Santosh. I'm sure clients are asking for that amount of agility from IBM, and you're facing new truths every day.
Yeah, you start it up, make it work, prove it that it will work, and then we'll add along. We'll probably give you some requirements at a very high level, but you know what the problem is what we are trying to solve for some of our global clients.
Thanks. Anand, how have things got transformed for you?
Sir, it's been a very interesting discovery that work gets done without meetings. Meetings are no more required is the learning, and most productive time we saw with 3 key certifications with National Payment Corporation of India. That is an organization I must bring to your knowledge here, that is standing and serving the nation without the uniform of the soldiers. Fantastic work done when we launched SoftPOS with them for retailers. The Cube Buster that I showed you the other day on the in the meeting that we met you last month. The whole support system has now adopted already, and the challenge going forward will be how to put shoes back into people's feet to bring them to office, because the luxury comfort that everyone has been able to sit at home and code, lying down on a beanbag and do work. They say, I'm so productive actually. So that transformation in the mindset of people, wherever they are able to contribute, at least in our line of business. Second, emergence of NICE, if I may say, we as a network, as infrastructure service, what we have been able to build, the retail network is available as an infrastructure now on a platter with us. We can keep integrating APIs, open APIs are available, and partners across industries. Z is available on our platform, Z5, the Shimaru, Eros, and next will be the Hotstar and Netflix. So you can well say, 2 kilo आलू 1 kilo प्याज 1 महीने का हॉटस्टार और 250 रुपए की फिक्स डिपॉजिट बना देना भैया. That transformation has really triggered in, and we see those Venn diagrams of overlapping use cases where grocery and the retailing of banking is happening together. Third, we brought in a discipline of the OKR. It's a design principle on key objective responsibility areas that you want to work on. And it has brought in from the madness to the method back into a company like ours, helping us transition from a startup into a responsible corporation that all of our co-panelists here are. a step at a time, of course, that what will go in this quarter will go in this quarter, not in next. And what has to come in next quarter can wait for the next quarter. Nothing is in rush, but do a disciplined, structured work so that stability before scale. Anything that you put to the market is stabilized in a proper manner. That got instilled well. The second, I used to tell you that retail is evolving. Retailers are not. And you used to tell me modernize retail by digitizing. Has been now witnessed. The Buy Nearby program has been launched, and a lot of traction has been observed, where we are now also trying to see if offline products can be brought to online. Like Amazon has helped us bring online to offline. We are working with self-help groups to see if the ground products, the artisan, peasants, handicraft manufactured across self-help groups can be brought up onto the retailing platform, maybe online to begin with, and then certainly the ground. But the best part is the Har Dukaan Digital Pradhan. That transformation we are kicked up about, that a shop which has a shutter or has a table will be able to cater to something digitally on banking financial services as well. The insurance sales shot up during COVID on our platform. The recent spurt in the flight ticket, train tickets that we dispense, mobile recharges were at the highest during the whole time. EMI collections, etc., from 23-24 NBFCs started happening on our platform. So retailing is actually, while I used to say that retail is evolving, retailers are not. Actually, a retailer Sashakti-karan ho raha hai, sir. It is happening, and it will not be out of place to say that future is now. And all of us here, certainly all of the bright work that has been done by the retailing industry is very, very encouraging.
Thanks, Anand. I think it's quite interesting that the good news of what you're saying is that every single person on this current talk can really work with each other to make things larger than where they are currently. And I'm sure that things will change. A quick question from each of you. It's not, we do not have too much time. So the one question that I need answered from each one of you is, what is the large opportunity that you are seeing going forward for yourselves? So maybe Venkat could start and then we could go on to the others.
I think one of the explosive growth that we have seen because of the pandemic is the digitalization in our selling processes. So from the use of video, we are selling 100 crore plus every month of jewelry through video. We're doing appointment shopping. We're doing endless aisle. When people are waiting in the store, large crowds are in the store waiting like a token system during Dhanteras and Diwali. We were using tabs with customers who were waiting inside the stores to choose from products which are inside the store to sort of, accelerate the time so that when they come to the counter, they've already shortlisted 2 pieces from the 10 that they wanted and stuff like that. The use of digital technology in multivarious ways is the biggest leapfrogging of 2-3 years that we have done. So on the one hand, we have 18 million plus customer base through our loyalty program, and we have deep knowledge about them in terms of their purchase history, their time, events in their life during the year in terms of birthdays, anniversaries, and do they buy during a scheme, do they buy during an Akshaya Tritiya and stuff like that on the one hand. And the 15,000 sales staff who know them by name and have a deep relationship with them. So this combination of what we are calling more and more phygital. And this thing has now gone so deep that an I+ store in a small town like a Buxar, is using the word phygital. So the word phygital has become the vocabulary for people who don't speak English, who speak only Hindi or Telugu or Tamil or Bengali. So the digital transformation, particularly in the front, is the biggest thing that we are going to take from.
Thanks, Venkat. I can imagine what it would do. Somebody was telling me yesterday in a panel that what's happening is that the same set of people who used to hesitate to deliver if it was an online order because they were all accustomed to offline are now jumping as soon as they find an order if it's on online, as much as they jump if they see a customer in front of them. And it's amazing how this whole change has happened, the ethos is happening, and I'm sure it's being driven at that level. Hari, what's the big thing for you? Can't hear you.
I think there are two, Kumar. One is, and I cover them very, very quickly. One is, I think we see a great opportunity in this going forward in this is this no touch delivery, right? We've actually over the last 12 months, pretty much, cracked that piece where, we actually are able to, so that helps efficiency. We are able to do lot more orders. Trust levels have gone up. People are now willing to just leave it outside and go. And it's really, really something that we see that we are going to use, capitalize on, and start doing more and more of that. Second is, I think there's one area in our business which really scaled, which is health, right? And we are seeing tremendous amount of traction on that category. And we are actually investing and putting in a lot of time and energy to build that category out, because we are seeing more and more people reading labels, understanding what the product is delivering to them, and a whole host of that. And that's very encouraging. And we're going to build that category out. So it's health and no touch, no doorbell ring delivery.
Very nice. That really makes sense. Vishak.
Okay, let me repeat what Venkat and Hari said. Basically, digital, and we have seen digital applications across. I'll tell you, Kumar, we are now producing designs with no touch, in the sense that the entire process between mills, our factories, our designers, our product managers is entirely digital. And trust me, the designs are damn good. Okay, we have learned to book this digitally with our retailers as well. Again, no touch, where physically you couldn't go and book with the retailer. We've been able to book. We had, in fact, just before COVID, we had launched a digital trade show, a DTS for booking, which came in so handy as soon as things opened up and we were able to book. But it's not stopped at that. We are doing, for example, in small towns with Peter England, we are doing hyper-local deliveries where the inventory of that store is lit up for customers in that city, and we deliver within 4 hours to the customer, and it's entirely digital. So in various such ways, of course, design intelligence on choosing the right assortments for different kinds of markets. And like Venkat said, I think it's just leapfrogged. It's just taken it one more scale above in that sense. The other piece is what Hari said about wellness. We've also seen a lot of applications of wellness. At one level, people want clothes with them safer and able to do antiviral coatings. We've got a Peter England Neem Tulsi line. So at various places, we've been able to add to wellness, even in the way we've created comfortable clothes for just staying fit. So I think we've, some positives that one can take out of this. I just wanted to give a different application of what Venkat and Hari said.
Thanks. I think makes sense. Anand?
Sir, Rebank India is the next big opportunity for us. And why I say so is that India is either unbanked, underbanked, or misbanked. Misbanked is because they have a debit card, but 115 million went out of circulation in November last year. There are mobile numbers which are not registered in the bank, and people are not willing to go to bank and update the mobile numbers, nor are the banks willing to recard these customers. And hence, taking help of our retail partners, we are going to rebank India. By Pratyaksham Pramanam, you put your thumb and your account is opened. So that is one big piece for us. And second, I want to tell that the mindset, the ambition unstoppable of our retail partners, they say that ye zami to hamari hai aur asma ab teri bari hai, does not leave any opportunity unattended. Bring it on. So there is lot which can be done through our retail partners, and we shall, inshallah. Lot to accomplish, sir.
I remember the very first time we met.
Nice, Anand. Very poetic also.
Yeah, very nice.
I have to tell the panel, the very first time I met him years before, the one thing that he told me, and I think he's now told it with lots more confidence, was that people should be able to do everything that they want to do in banking and financial with just their thumb. And I think that's now becoming the, and that's how we met. In fact, you told me
Absolutely.
that this should be our passport to everything. So it's quite amazing. Santosh?
Yeah, so I think this is aligned, right, in line with what I heard physical digital is a given, which is where our converged commerce team is. We've actually come up with a suite of solutions. Then the whole concept of, I'm sure all of you know, the concept of hybrid cloud. You develop it anywhere, whether it's on-prem or whether it's on Google or AWS or IBM Cloud or any other startup. We are here to help enable you to bring it all together. So I think that's the way we are looking forward to really see how we bring both our converged commerce and hybrid cloud together for enabling the client. So that's what is what we think will be the future for all of us to collaborate in this amazing journey, what we are looking forward to. But I think the quote from Anand was very impressive. Really looking forward to it.
Oh, I can imagine it, Santosh. Almost everybody on the panel agreed that digital is the way forward, and therefore I would think that even if IBM has to take part of that business, it's still big. Because you've been there, you know what is to be done. You've just got to help clients do what they need to do along their journey. So there are quite a few questions that did come up, but I think we're running out of time. One of you need to answer this one question. What's the one truth in retail that will never change?
Retail never shuts.
Wow. Retail never shuts.
Never ever shuts.
Never ever shuts. Okay. So with that punchline, thank you to each one of you. It's amazing that you were able to contribute, and I hope that people who are listening to this can just keep taking notes, because I've taken a lot of notes. It gives them so much of value for them to look at their own businesses. So thank you, and really wonderful.
Thank you.